Thank you all for coming, for joining this moment, this momentous occasion.
Nope, she hasn't come. Come here. Are you really busy right now? Smells that.
Please come in close.
Sit.
We're not in the way. We'll get it in the way.
Thank you for helping us honor and respect and celebrate the lives of Toki, Tokitai, Scully Chaktanut, and Ken Balcom, Kenneth Chester Balcom III. It was a pure stroke of brilliance about a month ago when our spirit guide Rosie Caillou James, who had been conducting salmon ceremonies in honor of Toki in Coopville, in Washington Park, on Guaymas Island, on Lopez, and on Orcas Island, and this was to be the final one. And she said it should be for Ken too. And that made my heart sing, because Ken would love it. Ken never wanted to be the star of the show, the main attraction. He always turned attention to the whales he studied, the whales he got to know so well. You know, Ken was a scientist through and through. He studied the science of science, the philosophy of science. He always maintained the rigor of the empirical method of studying the whales. But there was more to Ken than that, and he saw more. It might have been from way back in 1976 when he was lost in the fog somewhere over by Whidbey Island and had no way to know how to get to Snug Harbor. And here comes J-Pod, and they gathered around him, around his bow. They were within 8 or 10 feet of his bow, guiding him the entire way until he got out of the fog at Snug Harbor. Maybe that's when he realized it. Or it might have been that first time out, that first encounter, April 8th, 1976, when he went out from Puget Sound and encountered J-Pod off Port Angeles for the very first time, starting with his new contract. And he couldn't get close to him for the first hour and a half, because that was 1976. They had been captured by boats just like that for 10 years. They very cautiously avoided being close to boats. But after about an hour and a half, they realized, the whales realized, wait a minute, he's not out to catch us. He wants to get to know us. He wants to take pictures. He wants to learn about us. And they came in closer. And they let him get those great photos that are the tradition of the Center for Whale Research ever since. But Ken learned a deep appreciation for the whales. But he also liked to party, by the way. And in fact, this was one of his favorite party spots right here, Limekiln Lighthouse. I don't know how many of you might have been here in 2011 for the 100th birthday party for Granny.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was a really good time. But I really gained a new appreciation from right here too. This place has become a kind of a sacred spot for me. I mean, it's always been a fun place and a great place and kind of sacred in a lot of ways. Just because you meet up great people and sometimes you see whales here. But what happened on August 17th of this year, I don't know how many of you knew about that. I was on Whidbey Island. I was stuck in a bank somewhere, and I just happened to be watching the live webcam from the lighthouse right here. And they were in. J's, K's, and L's were right here. But they were acting really strange. Like they were disturbed, like they were disorganized, like they didn't know what they were doing. They certainly weren't foraging. They weren't conducting a ritual in a kind of a lined up way or anything coordinated or synchronized. They looked bothered. And it went on for a couple of hours. And they didn't travel. You know, orcas tend to travel, no matter what they're doing. You know, they're trending one way or another. Well, they didn't. They just kind of circulated in going all different directions, doing a lot of really strange stuff. And I had no idea what it was. And then the next day, we found out Toki died in Miami. And at the same hour that the whales were here behaving very weirdly, she was in her last hours. She was dying. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't hold herself up. Now, I'm not prone to a lot of woo-woo stuff, but I could not deny the synchronicity. We have our woo-woo contingent right here. They're happy to sign on. But they were acting like they knew. That's all I can say. My objective observation was, it was like they knew. So that makes these waters, this lighthouse, this place, very sacred to me too. Wow, I don't know how to welcome everybody. There are so many wonderful, wonderful people here. Good friends of Ken's and of Toki's. What I would like to do now is, Kelly, would you read a proclamation that was delivered to him from the governor's office?
Wait, I want a picture of Howie with all of you, if I may. Awesome. Oops. My son Cody is here, by the way, too. Cody, grandson Cody. All right, thank you.
Please have Cody come up with you.
Sure, sure. Cody, would you come?
Cody, join us.
So this is Cody Balcom, best kept secret in the family. It's right here. Beautiful, handsome son of mine, grandson of Ken. So I am honored to be able to share this with all of us today. This is the first time it will be publicly read, and I want to thank a dear friend, Scotty Brown. Some of you may know Scotty Brown from a long time ago, in a place far, far away, just up the road. Scotty Brown went through the processes and persistence to bring this to the governor's attention. And the governor was kind enough to provide a message from the governor that I will share today without hoping to pry up too much. A message from the governor. I am pleased to honor Kenneth Balcom for his decades of research on southern resident killer whales and for giving the people of Washington a greater understanding of these magnificent creatures. Ken started the Center for Whale Research in 1984 and gained an intimate knowledge of each member of the southern resident orcapods which reside in Washington's waters for a great deal of their lives. He spent decades of his career on the water with the killer whales, sharing his passion with others and educating students, visitors, and other researchers. Thanks to Ken's research, the scientific community gained a better understanding of the social structure of our local orcas, as well as their population numbers. He was instrumental in an annual survey of the population, still used by the Center for Whale Research and the broader research community today. Ken had a profound knowledge of the whales, including their vocalization. His pioneering work on this population has laid a foundation for future efforts to help this population thrive and survive. In 2018, when I signed Executive Order 1802 and created the Southern Resident Killer Whale Task Force, we knew Ken would be an important addition to that task force. His voice and legacy of documenting and advocating for this population remains a cornerstone of the work we face in saving this population. I commend Ken's efforts in the formation of the Center for Whale Research and in his tireless work to secure a future for the whales. This kind of work is essential if we are to maintain Washington's rich natural diversity and the incredible flora and fauna that inhabit our state. Ken has left an unforgettable mark on the Salish Sea and for these whales, so symbolic of the beauty and culture of the Northwest. I also wish to extend my condolences to Ken's family. His work was important in so many ways. I am confident the Center for Whale Research will carry on Ken's legacy and continue the annual work of survey and research on these important marine mammals. Very truly yours, Jay Inslee, Governor of the state of Washington.
Yeah.
All right. Cody, a few words? And if I may, I also too would like to thank every one of you that has come here to visit and to celebrate both Tokite, our southern residents, and my father, Cody's grandfather. I see many familiar faces in this group, and I love you all, and I thank you for that. And let's continue that fight and work together to bring our southern residents and our salmon, because Dad would not let me get off without saying they don't eat words, they eat salmon. So let's bring those salmon back, and let's all work together on that common goal. Thank you.
All right.
I have the great distinguished honor to introduce Raynell Morris. Raynell knew Toki better than anyone. Can you stand?
Yes.
And fought for Toki, and I think took on some Toki's qualities of courage and resilience and kindness. And she never gave up. Toki knew her too, by the way. She can tell you about that.
Haishka, Howie and Ken were our whale warriors, and we're so grateful to them for their leadership over the decades, not just for Skelly Chactanut, but for all Quathomachan, all orcas. And when they look here, all the people that left both of them and are continuing to work together for our beloved Quathomachan, salmon. The work isn't done, there's a lot to do. Skelly Chactanut had a way of bringing people together, not just here on this island, but around the world. She reached out to people in their own way, whether it be through a garden, whether it be in the water, stealing a sandal. She was a great trickster. She loved to interact with you and to let you know she was there. And it was her calling on the 18th of August. Ancestors had been taking care of her, and I was honored and blessed to be able to go 7 times to do ceremony and prayer with her and with Leahy in the Well Stadium. And I have to tell you, it broke my heart the first couple of times of going and doing ceremony because her spirit was broken. Her health was broken. Leahy's spirit and health was broken. They mirrored each other. And through the work of ancestors and her culture, the Lactamish culture, the people, helped heal her spirit, which in turn helped her body to heal. And so I started not just doing ceremony for Skelly Chuckanut, but Leahy wouldn't let you forget him. He would come up, you know, he's a 40-year-old gentleman, very handsome, but just his spirit came back and he would pop up, and so I'd brush him with cedar, I'd drum to him. And they were a pair. They were their only companionship for years. And when I was first told about their companionship, I thought, well, that's not natural. She needs equithalometon. But you know, when you're held in captivity, you don't have a choice. You survive the best way that you can. And she did. And Leahy did. She was prepared to come home. By the 7th visit, the last time I saw her to do ceremony was the end of June of this year. You talk about a soaring spirit, her health. She was fast swimming. She was interacting when I was drumming and singing. She sang, she was vocalizing. And because by that time we developed quite a close kinship and love between us, that she'd see me coming up the Well Stadium stairs and she'd see my hat and she knew it was me. Leahy knew it was me. And she was just so fun when I was drumming fast, and she liked that. She was so full of herself, she turned around. She did 3 well slaps her tail. Water was running off my cedar hat, and I raised my drum and my hands to her, and I said, oh, you are so funny, aren't you? You are so funny. You could tell she just enjoyed that reaction. And I just think that's who she was. It took a little bit to heal and to come out, but that's who she is, and we each have that spirit of her with us. I was very grateful to my tribe, the Lactamish people, the Lummi Nation, for insisting that they return her. We thought it was going to be to a sea sanctuary, but that wasn't part of her story. Ancestors called her home, and she went. So our council unanimously voted and asked me to take the lead with the owner, with Eduardo Elbar, Eduardo, with the Dolphin Company, to bring her home, bring her ashes home. We didn't know it was going to be ashes. We thought we were bringing her home. But they had done the necropsy right away. So our option was, Lummi Nation, do you want her in 14 barrels? Or do you want her cremated? So the council met, and we said we want her ashes. We have to do it the cultural way. We have to return her ashes to the Salish Sea, because her spirit is already gone. So the ashes need to be put back in the water so she can be one. So we did that. It was a glorious day. Rough waters. I think the ancestors like to be dramatic sometimes. So there we are. And people pulled together. Our congressional folks pulled together. We had a Coast Guard escort to protect the waters from interrupting ceremony and from trying to do anything with her ashes. We put sacred cedar in the water, we put sacred salmon in the water and did our prayers, and it was not to be seen. It was only Lacta Shlomi people on the boat, a small group of 8, to do this work. But it was the right thing to do. It made her whole, made her family feel good that she was whole again, made ancestors feel good that the sacred obligation was fulfilled, she was brought home. And it made the well people happy because they've been talking to her. Now she's up there with them. But she still guides all of us in her spirit. She's a spirit guide now. She's glorious. She's still guiding the work. And she wants us to take care of her family. She wants us to take care of the salmon. She wants us to take care of the Saley Sea. So we all have to continue, even during our grieving. This is my first gathering since she passed. I wasn't ready before then to go out. But I knew I'd be surrounded by family and with love. And that I was called to be here and come to find out. We have connections, Rosie and I. Our families work together at the shake mill. This was woven by a plaster, a family that Rosie gifted to me. So there are no coincidences. There are things that are meant to be. You're here because you're meant to be here. You're watching on Toki TV because you love and care for Ken. You love and care for Skelly Chaktana. Aishka siyam, nostalgia siyam.
He says you don't have to introduce me. I think I know most
This
of
is
everybody
Rosie's.
here.
Hey, Rosie.
Rosie is our spirit guide. She has guided us through many salmon ceremonies over the years. I don't even remember how far back it goes. But thank you, Rosie, once again.
Before I say too much more, before I say anything, we have the spirit here from another culture. Could you please bring out your instrument with a bagpipe, please?
Big pipe?
We need to take honor on the musicians here. And during the day, we will have other musicians.
157 people watching.
We have 157 people watching. That's good. And this your young man, I'll let Howie introduce him.
This is Josh Prout, who is a bagpiper and wanted to come, and we wanted him to come to play for this occasion. He doesn't need a microphone. Thank you so much, Josh. That set the tone and the tune. That was beautiful. Thank you. And now it's a really great honor to bring on Doug James and Siamna Witt to whatever they do, which could be storytelling, singing, drumming, filling our hearts, filling our minds. And they two are good friends.
Oh, say I'm nostalgia. Say, first of all, I'd like to thank the Creator for allowing us a breath of time to come together without swallowing, with one heart and one mind. We learned about the whale back in 2018. My brother and I and others were on a journey heading across country. We left Seattle and then had a gathering in St. Mark's Cathedral there and went to Portland, had another gathering there. And when we were leaving Portland, we encountered a lady that came and caught up to us there from Vancouver, Washington. And this is the first time we heard about the orca down there in Miami. We said she was looking for my brother Jewel. He gets a call from a radio for a radio interview and says, well, talk to my brother. So it's my first encounter with this lady that received this message about the orca. And she said that she was a dreamer and receiver of messages. And that she received a message from a 14-year-old girl out of New York. Said she was Down syndrome. But the message she sent to her telepathically out to the San Juan Island here where she was living at the time. She said that the orca has been crying out over and over and over. That young lady was saying that she's asking anybody out there that can hear me. Anybody out there that can hear me. I want to go home. I want to go home. Anybody help me go home. And that was the message the orca was sending out. And this lady says, I carried this message for 2 years. In 2016, I received it. Who do I give such a message to, I thought, because I'm a non-native. And when I heard that Lummi was in Portland, I thought, well, maybe I'd come and ask you guys if there was anything you could do. You know, I told Jennifer, you know, she said, I don't know if I could do anything for you or not. Or for the whale, you know, we got to stay the course we're on because we're heading to Standing Rock and then going to end up in Winnipeg. I said, I tell you what, let's put it to prayer and see where it goes. And so we prayed on it. And one door after another kept opening. One message after another she kept receiving and relaying. And this opened up for us to understand it was one of ours. That it brought us all together across this Turtle Island, that these beings are very spiritual. They have the ability to reach out telepathically to touch those that have the eyes and ears that can hear and relay these messages to us. Because we get so far away from the spiritual realm as we get caught up in that outside world and our spiritual ears and eyes can't hear or see anymore. But those that still have that gift can understand that everything around us has spirit. It's very real. We made 3 or 4 trips to Miami. When we left this carving, you know, we got home and we told our chief and our council that this whale was one of ours. And that they said, well, directing my brother and I to Sustiath is my brother Jewel James's Indian name. My Indian name is Sitki Kadam. They directed us saying that's one of ours. Go see if we can bring her back home. So each one of us had a role to play during this part of it. we couldn't do this by ourselves. It takes all of us to stand up and say, yes, I believe. Yes, I want to do something. And we do what we can. Ken did what he can. He understood what these mammals were all about. And I honor that man today for what he did, you know, because it's very real. We learned a lot in the past few years about these orcas and their ability. We carved this 20-foot carving of a whale and brought it to Miami. And we left that, after that first gathering in Miami, we left it down in Gainesville University at their museum there. They put an exhibit around that whale in their exhibit in their museum. We left it there over the winter, and we were sent back down there to get it. So Caleb, Fred Lane, and I went back down there, and the director of the museum says, out of all the years that that museum has been open, there has never ever been one exhibit that drew the attention like this one did. Just over the winter alone, she said there was over 100,000 people that went through that exhibit over the winter. So we understood that right from the very beginning that this was a spiritual movement. It's not what we're doing, it's what the Spirit's doing. It's saying to be swallowing. Come together with one heart and one mind, and we can move mountains, we can change things, we can stop what's been happening. But it takes all of us from all parts of the Turtle Island to reach out and say, I want to be part of that. You know, and so one message after another kept coming like that. We were down there the third time in Miami, and this woman flew from Houston over to Miami and caught up to us there. And she says, I had to come and find you guys because this whale had been telling me over and over and over, and it won't leave me alone. She said, anybody out there that can hear me, I want to go home. I want to go home. Anybody help me go home? So I had to come and find you and tell you that this whale is really crying out and wanting to go home. So it's shown us, you know, that she could reach out to different walks of life and touch their hearts and minds and let them know, you know, that we all matter. I don't care who we are or where we're from. We're all indigenous from someplace around Turtle Island. And we all have to stand up and speak for those that don't have a voice. For the two-legged, for all those that are out there that are wanting to say, like the whale that pushed her baby through the waters for 17 days. Telequam. And she couldn't say it any louder in the way that they could, you know, saying, look what's happening to us. Look what's happening to us. Our babies are dying out here. Don't you care? Don't you care? Trying to tell the two-legged, you know, that we matter. We're families here. From the time we're born, we stay together. And that's real. That's true families. You know, and so we as human beings, you know, we're just trying to understand, you know, and get back to that spiritual realm that we have to speak up. We have to say, hey, I care. It matters. And so we're still being called out to do more yet. This is not over. We got something else coming down the road here, and eventually you'll all hear about it again. You know, so it's not what we're doing, it's what the Spirit's doing. Because He's causing people's heart to say, I want to do something. I want to bring more attention to what's been happening here to these beautiful beings. You know, so that brings us to the point to where we just want to make a difference. We're not trying to be somebody. We're just trying to be something that really does matter in our heart and walks in this life. You know, I really thank our sister here for being dedicated to be there and hear her cry and stand with her and say that she does care, she does love her. My wife, Siamawet, also felt that cry in her heart down there when we were there. We were right there. Our late chief, Silik, he said, I want to put a new name on her. And I want you and Saul Caleb to go back down there and deliver this name and put it on her. And so we went back down to Miami again. And that name came from Penn Cove. There was a village at the end of Penn Cove long time ago. That village was called Scally Chuck. So I says her name's going to be Scally Chuck Tanat. The Tanat is a female version of a name. So that's what we did. We went back down there and put that name on her. So that's who she became to us, you know. So again, you know, I just want to thank you all for taking the breath of time out of your life to come here. There's a tugging on your heart. That's the reason why all of you are here. You got something saying, suit up and show up. That's our job now. All you got to do is suit up and show up. You know, you get that tugging on your heart, show up. Be accountable. These ones here, these are the ones why we're all coming together in this time and age in this world, you know. And we've been asking, you know, to pray hard, because whatever we're going to pass down to these children, it's this generation that's going to have to reach out to those ones that are in control across this vast Turtle Island, you know, to help make a difference in this climate change. We're going to save anything for them. We got to speak up now. Your voice does count. You do matter. Everyone, from the youngest to the oldest. When we're long gone in dust, what are we going to leave them behind when we're gone? It matters that much. That's where we're at in this age, in this life. You know, I can't express it enough, you know, how important it is. You know, the salmon, we've been standing up for the salmon, going up the rivers and saying, breach them dams. These salmon are going to be extinct in 10 years if we can't breach them and let them get back to their spawning grounds. The Elwha River is a great example of how, once that dam was breached, how that river is flourishing with them. All them runs are coming back. They figured, well, how far are they going? It's going 50 miles up into the mountains up there, and they're flourishing up there. You know, they're coming back and coming back strong. So if we can save the salmon, we can save the orcas. It's all part of the cycle of life. It does matter. So, like I say, and I just want to thank you all for sharing this breath of time. There was a song that my brother Satsiath received before daylight years ago. And it was a song of saying, you know, that we love you. We love you. And we have to let you go to the other side. You know, it's a four-direction song. So we'll share that at this time. And I think it's quite appropriate that Ken is brought forward on this occasion also, you know, because of the love that he had for them whales that lived in these waters, you know. And it's like a pure spirit that he had, you know, that they come to him like that. They recognize that spirituality of us, you know, and when these whales will come right up to a boat and know that they're not afraid that there's pure spirit people here. And they can tell when the ones that are there to hurt them, you know, they won't go anywhere near you. So I'd like to thank our brother Howard here. He became a brother of ours, you know, also, you know, during these occasions that we've been all being brought together over and over, you know. So our heart goes out to your family, CM, you know. Rosie, again, thanking you and your spouse, your hubby there, you know, for being obedient to the Spirit. You know, it's a gift that, and I thank Rosie for sharing that gift that's been passed down from her ancestors. So that we'd like to share that song with you.
This is the first time our boys are going to sing with us, so. Yeah. This is 4 Direction songs. This is where we sing to our ancestors to let them know that we remember them. We all have ancestors. Our mother, our mother's mother, our mother's father, our father, our father's mother, our father's father, and their mothers and their fathers, and their mothers and their fathers, their mothers and their fathers. And some of those fathers and mothers they meet, like our elder here. We're the Clackamas people. We thank our elder here for taking care of these sacred islands, of the islands of our ancestors. So we sing here to our ancestors. We love them. We love all of our ancestors. We all have ancestors. They give us strength. You're welcome to turn with us and sing with us and feel the connection to who you are and be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are, that you are still here. Many of us, through our ancestors, have faced challenges that made it difficult for us to still be here. And some of us, when we stand and we sing to our ancestors, we show them that we love them. And we show them that we have enough confidence in ourselves to carry ourselves in a good way, so that we could raise our children up, and so that they can have confidence, and to raise their children up so that they can have confidence, and that they can have confidence that we all could be related, like how we start today when we sing together and we pray together. That shows we're related in some way. We may be related through biological family relationships. We could be related by being two-legged, having hands. We could be related by a relationship through the Kokomiston, our relationship to Mother Earth, our relationship to Grandfather Sky, how we see our relationship through God, Creator, Heavenly Father, Jesus. Any way we see ourselves, we pray and thank ourselves, thank our Creator, thank our relatives for helping us, because none of us could be here alone. None of us could be here alone. So we recognize our relationship, and we recognize the strength that we have being together. Haishka for that time. Oh, 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 oh,
There was a Mickey whale that came to our beaches in the 90s there, around 94 or 5. There was 2 Mickey whales that came into our waters out there off of Lummi in Bellingham Bay. And the one whale swam on out and the other one came into our shallows and beached herself. And what the elder that was standing there, she also had the eyes and ears to see and hear what the spirit of that whale was saying. That whale came from out at Nia Bay, and she took this young boy's slee, his spirit, upon her, and said that, I'm an ancient ancestor of your families, and I'll carry your spirit back home to your mother's homeland. And so she said, as soon as that whale put herself up on our beaches, she released that boy's spirit there, brought his spirit back home to his family. So to hear things like that and understand it, we were there when she, her last few heartbeats, she left a song with us. And as her heart was beating slower and slower, this song came. And that song was that Eit Swallow, and what I was telling you was what came to us. We had an elder that was there with us, you know, and he says, we got to go home to my house there, and we got to see if we can capture that song. We're all sitting in his prayer room there on the floor there, and my brother says, we need a drum, we need a drum. We've got to see if we can capture that song. There was a drum on the wall there that just started vibrating, and it fell off the nail it was on, hit the floor, rolled straight out like that, and turned like this and rolled right to my brother. I said, grab the drum, and we'll start singing that song. And we'd like to share that song with you now. Because that's the song that we used when 9/11 happened. My brother was over in D.C. at that time with others, you know, and he got back home and he said, you know, what could we do as a small nation to reach out to a devastated country? And so they kicked some thoughts and ideas about, well, let's carve a totem pole and bring it across country and call it the Healing Pole Journey. Well, that's what happened, and we've been doing this for 23 years now. Going across this country for one cause or another that the Spirit's been putting. Not what we're doing, it's what the Spirit's doing. It's using that to draw us together. And so this song is called the Eit Swallowing, and what that whale is telling us to be of one heart and one mind. every one of you. On behalf of Howard and his family, on behalf of Scully Chucklenot and her family. You know, it's no mistake that all these whales were here that very day she died. They know spiritually what happened because she heard her cry from across these vast waters. Keep your prayers coming because there's no distance prayer can't touch. There's no distance prayer can't go. It really does matter. A simple prayer when somebody comes to mind, Lord, I don't know what they're going through at this time, but I'm lifting them up to you at this time. Help them. So our struggle is not going to get any easier. This walk of life that we're living is going to get tougher, guaranteed. Thank you all. Aishka.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How about now? Still can't hear? Can we have Cindy come forward, please? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello? I'm very happy to announce that we have Cindy here getting the cedar planks ready, almost ready, and so I would like her just to say a few words before I take over, and I'll take about 5 more minutes, and don't anybody go anywhere after the ceremony because we have food here, and you know you're a long way from town.
Thank you, Rosie. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We are just waiting for the cedar planks to get down here, and then we'll have the salmon ready on the cedar planks for the offering. And one of the big parts of this that Rosie and Bill like to include is to have people bless the salmon. So it will be on the picnic table back there. And anybody who is interested in doing this, you don't have to, but if you would like to, you can just walk by it, lay your hands over the salmon, and think whatever thoughts you have. Any wishes, any hopes, any prayers, whatever's in your heart and in your mind, send those out into the water with the salmon. So very soon those will be ready, and I'll let you know when it's time to come and bless the salmon. And then we're going to walk down to the water, and we have people who are going to put the salmon in the water. Feel free to grab some cedar as well that you can put in the water after the salmon. So the people that we have who are going to put the salmon in the water are Joel and London and Skylar, and we also wanted to ask Cody if you would like to be one of the people. So those are going to be our 4 salmon carriers. And then again, we are going to be relaying the salmon down to them, so they'll be standing at the water's edge and not having to walk on the slippery rocks with the salmon. So I'm going to go get the salmon ready, and I'll turn it back over to Rosie.
Could you please come forward, those that were mentioned? Please come forward, that were mentioned. Please stand right up here and face this way. And Jazz, can you please come forward, please? Jazz? Jamie, come forward, please. These are all of my bonus children that are helping here. So I'd like everybody to know that in my culture, in my way, the spirit sees no color. My dad was from Orcas Island. And Dad's best friend was the orca. Dad would get on his boat or his canoe. His great grandpa was French, white French. Dad was born on Orcas Island. His brothers were born in Stewart and Johns and Susha and James, all named for the islands in their English name where they were born. They all had native names. They all had Coast Salish names. I don't claim to be from one tribe. I have ancestors from Kikialas. I have ancestors from Swinomish and Lummi and Tulela, Nawaha, and South across the way. So I call myself Coast Salish. I have family from Mitchell Bay. Please step forward, Lisa. So Lisa is my cousin from the Chevalier family. And you have brothers and sisters here. Can you have them come forward?
I don't know either of my brothers.
Okay, cousins. The
Just my
cousins,
granddaughter.
many of you islanders know who my cousins and my family is here. The Nashes and the Chevaliers are my family from Mitchell Bay Band. We have not forgotten you. We will always remember who you are. When Samish got their recognition back, there was a Canadian man from across the way. He said, "You are not a re-recognized tribe. We have always known who you are." And I will always remember what that old man said to us. We also have my nephew, Ronald Day. Could you step forward, please? Ronald brought the salmon, so nobody gets to go, because he's going to stand at the gate and make you turn around and come back and eat salmon. So Ronald, can you raise your hand, please? Ronald's grandfather and my grandfather were first cousins. Lisa's grandmother from the Jack family across the way, great grandma. So we're all not lost here. This is our home. The Lummi. This is our home. Like I said, Dad was raised. I'll go down there like that. The Lummies, like my cousin right now said, our fathers worked together, and we just rebonded on that. Dad used to go out on a boat and go and play with the orcas. because he was born on Orcas Island. And his other best friend was a goat. The goat was from Stewart Island. Who all remember seeing all the goats on Stewart Island? So Dad said the goat and the orca used to touch each other's noses. They used to go nose to nose. And sometimes he could get his nose in there. Many of you might have seen me just melt when the bagpipe came out. That was my healing. The drums I hear every day, but that bagpipe was my healing. When I let go to finally cry, that is my healing. Raynell cried when she got here. That was her healing. That's our healing. Tears are the way our ancestors show us. They feel through us. They feel the energy through us. I noticed that Doug had tears during that song. Those are the songs of our ancestors, the bagpipe. I want to acknowledge that bagpipe. In the end of the boat story, I got a message from Dad who said, so he used to go out and about in his boat with a goat. That's his Canadian part. Canadian side, out and about in a boat with a goat. So how many can say out and about in a boat with a goat? You gotta say with a boat, not with a. With a boat. There's so much more that I could add here. I remember that one of the first times I met Howie and Susan was, they asked us to come out and raise the spirit of a gray whale out on Salmon Island. And we couldn't find no place that we could get by. They were all no trespassing. All no trespassing signs. Everywhere we tried to get down to that beach on Salmon Island. And that had to be 15, 20 years ago. We finally found a place where we could reach, where Bill, as a spiritual worker, could reach the energy of the remains. He lifted the energy of her remains. She was afraid to leave her remains there. And she just swiftly swam out to her family who was waiting out in Bellingham Bay. And I later found out from Howie and Susan that she only had one shrimp shell and sawdust in her tummy. We traveled this road for miles trying to find what our message was. What are we supposed to be doing? What do you want us to do? Then we met Howie and we knew. Tokate's message is, I have left my remains to science. And remains were then brought to my relatives in Lummi for them to properly bring her home. I have left my remains to science. No more grief for me, please. My spirit's out here. This is a closure for me. We've done 6 of these. And they're not for personal gain or acknowledgement. My cousins and I don't do this here for personal gain or acknowledgement. We do this because we feel the closest of anybody to the orcas like my dad was. And anybody can feel that way. All of you that have tears in your heart, you're feeling that way. You're feeling bonded with our spirits. Reflect on her life and reconcile with her spirit. You can reflect on her life. She wants you to know it wasn't all that bad. She did what she knew what was best. So if anybody has to catch a ferry, say I. Nay. So one of her other messages was, and I shared with Howie when he told me about the gathering out here of her ancestors and her family was pre-death. 7 days before she died, 7 days before she quit breathing, she was already on her way home. Her message was, I am so tired, I would like to go home. I'm halfway home, I feel much better. I am home, I shall sing, I shall dance. So she came home that day. There was a gathering out here. And there was many curious family members, even some transients, that come to see her and welcome her spirit home out in the waters. We can't thank other tribes enough for rejoicing with us. This may feel like a sad occasion, but she wants us to rejoice. And now we turn over to Ken. You can all see him. Ken's message is a very, very strong. The messages I sent to his brother Howard were spot on. The message that he wanted us to know was that he will be here today. And many more messages. He came to his birthday party last night. Yesterday was Ken's birthday. And he said, the message to me was the four people that are supposed to be there will be there when you get there. Because I was worried about what kind of ceremony is this going to be. Am I going to be properly dressed, overdressed? Am I going to be too cultural? Am I going to be too traditional? Will I make people uncomfortable if I dress too traditional for Ken? But Ken said the 4 people that you see. First 4 people that you see will be who will be there. So I came in that little ceremony, and there was 4 people there. And they were the ones that's supposed to be there. So just in closing here, I would like Lodi to come up and say a few words. And then after Lodi, then London. London.
Thank you, Rosie. I'm not a great public speaker. I remember when I first started working in Kiln, he asked how I could contribute towards the Center for Well Research and the work that he was doing. And so I outlined for him what I felt I could contribute and how I felt I could help. And I had many bullet points. And then the next page was how I probably wouldn't be best to help, and that was public speaking. So, and I remember him telling me that if you really care about something, you will be able to speak to it. If you are passionate about something, you will be able to do that. And I learned so much from Ken, such a brilliant mind, and a dear friend. I miss him horribly. His soulful, kind heart, his smile, twinkle in his eye, and his great sense of humor. We're a very small team, but we're a really dedicated team, and we will carry out his vision. And what Rosie shared with us last night was very special, and that I don't know how to put into words, but I appreciate the messages that were shared. It's very special. I'll never forget it.
Before I say anything, I would just like to say that I'm really grateful to Rosie and to Howard for giving me the opportunity to speak here, because as I look out into the crowd, I see dozens of people who have known Ken and known Toki for multiple times longer than I've even been alive, who are well qualified to speak. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to speak. And I wrote this on the way over here, so bear with me. Today we gather in quiet reflection to honor two incredible souls. And as we celebrate Tokite and Ken, I feel a profound sense of love and comfort emanating from all of you. And although a lot of us never met Toki, she managed to change the lives of every person gathered here. And I'm certain that her legacy and impact on our planet are just beginning to unfold and will be fully appreciated in time. She leaves behind a legacy of determination and of willpower, teaching us all about resilience. These lessons will echo through the ages, and generations to come will hear of her story. This I am certain. The late President Ronald Reagan once said, "We will pray forever that someday that change will come. But for now, particularly today, it is good and fitting to renew our commitment to each other, to our freedom, and to the alliance that protects it." In many ways, he was right. We should renew our commitment to each other as people, nations, and animals alike. But I cannot stand idly by watching another 54 years pass simply praying for change. The time to end the capture, killing, and selling of wild killer whales and dolphins for profit is now. When we work together, our efforts are magnified. Looking at you all, I see enough combined experience and talent to make a significant difference. Let's pledge to use our collective resources, talents, passion, and platforms to end this barbaric industry that extinguishes compassionate, intelligent, and resilient souls like Toki for profit. As I learned from Dr. Visser, we must be consistent and relentless. You all have been consistent and relentless, but in this time of grieving, we cannot let those efforts go to waste. Currently, 54 known orcas are held in captivity in 8 countries. The China Cetacean Alliance reported in 2021 that 85 facilities hold whales and dolphins in captivity, with an additional 34 parks under construction. There's been an increase of 80% in just 5 years. Among these 15 wild-caught orcas, most held at Kiln, Ocean Kingdom, endure horrific conditions. For their sake, we must never abandon our fight. Using our collective network for a legislative advocacy is essential. We must push for new laws at state and federal levels that recognize the intrinsic value and rights of animals that we all recognize. We must act with urgency, recognizing the pressing issue of orca captivity, which demands immediate attention and action. We cannot let another 54 years pass while these animals continue to suffer. I will be calling on all of you to join this effort. Equal rights for animals will be our charge to the Supreme Court. As President Obama said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. Starting today, I am forming Tokatai's Coalition. Our goal is to introduce a bill in Tokatai's name that grants fundamental rights to animals for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I call for the immediate release of all cetaceans in America, as we have all been urging for decades. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we want to see in the world. The time is now. Thank you very much. Woo!
Rosie has instructed me to announce that 2 gifts will now be given, one to London and one to Kelly for bringing the proclamation and for being Ken's son. These are gifts from Ken. London, can you come up again? These are gifts from Ken.
There were other gifts that he had me pick out, and he wanted his brother to have warm hands. He wanted his co-giver, David, come over, David, please. David. He wanted his co-worker, David, to have warm hands. So I have a way of getting messages that help me. I'm an instrument to getting the last wishes of his and who he wanted to give. He thought of London as his own grandchild, and he loves his son. He thought of London every time she stepped forward, and she was his instrument. He spoke highly of her. And the grandson, Cody, he thought highly of Cody. So in closing, we want him to know that he will always be the instrument of his grandfather. And London will always be an instrument of her grandfather. She will always work towards what her grandfather's dream was, because she knew him, and Cody knew him. And they will work, they will strive to be. Anyone here, does your family, he wants you to know that you sit down and write him a long letter, because yesterday you were saying, you know what I wish I would have told him? He wants you to write him a letter, save the copy for yourself. Any one of you can do this to your own family that you've been missing. And you can. If you have forgotten to say something, you can send a message. Sit down and write a letter. Keep the copy and burn the original. That's what this is all about. This is about healing. This is about unison. This is about all of us being one today. As I stated earlier, the spirit sees no color. That last dance there for the ancestors that are in our presence right now. For Ken, who's in our presence right now. You're all welcome to come forward and view his final voice till we see you again. That's what it means in our culture, voice, till we see you again. So when we leave each other. And another thing that we have adopted here is when we say, when we leave and we make an agreement, what do we say?
Okie dokie.
So we thought that was just proper to say, because we kept saying okie dokie. Then we said, oh no, we gotta change that. So it's okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so I'm just waiting on Cindy right now. You want them to go ahead and You can go ahead and go through by Cindy, and
Yep.
I'll send you and Cody down there now. Jazz, can you lead them through? Jazz and Jamie? Just go ahead and do what you feel. I cannot tell you what to do and tell you how to feel.